Welcome to the Boston Bros Political Podcast. I am Jim Campanini, co-host of the show, coming to you from the InsideLowell studios in gorgeous Lowell, Massachusetts. And my co-host, Boston Herald columnist, Peter Lucas. Peter, how are you doing today?
Doing fine. Happy to be here.
You can read Peter's column, and he's had some corkers lately in the Herald 3 times a week. I'll tell you, no one works harder than this guy, and he had a couple of good ones this week. But we talked about Governor Widmer last show, but your column really put it succinctly. It was a great column. You must have got a lot of response.
I did get a lot of response. People saying, "Why can't Governor Maura Healey do what Governor Whitmore has done in Michigan, and that is to reach out to President Trump to benefit her state by that getting a base that was supposed to close down, getting it renewed, cleaning up the Great Lakes that border Michigan, and so on." And she was a bigger critic of the president than Maura Healey was. But she's made an arrangement, an accommodation to help her state, putting her state above her politics.
Well, didn't Governor Healey set up a task force or a panel now to try to look into how they're going to deal with the Trump administration? I mean, she just can't come out and say, let's give him a call with maybe Senator Warren and Senator Markey. I don't think anybody knows how to dial a Republican's number.
Well, they can only have an assistant dial the number. What she needs to do is reach out to Donald Trump and set up an arrangement to make an accommodation so that these federal funds that he was holding from the state, from one various program or another, can resume. And it's too bad because we rely on the federal government. Who's going to build the 2 bridges down at the Cape, the Sagamore and the Bourne?
Well, except for Democrats who have gone to jail and expressed remorse, when was the last time you heard a Democrat politician, incumbent, admit that they made a mistake and they wanted to start over?
Look, the Democratic Party has gotten so bad, they're trying to break into prisons these days.
That's I know. And they get criminals out.
They want the criminals out. If I were ICE or one of these federal agents in charge of that prison down in New Jersey where the Democrats tried to break in, I would have let them in. And then I would have closed the game.
Closed the game. Very good. Peter, I must just say, we got a lot of topics to talk about, but I love that hat. Firenze from, that's Florence. It has a beautiful hat.
Yeah, my granddaughter was there for 3 weeks at the University of Florence, and she brought me home this beautiful white hat. And I'm wearing the white hat these days instead of the black hat.
Wow. And it didn't cost you $5,000 like the gun in Rome.
No, this one only cost me 5,000 lira.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So it's been a big week for President Trump. I mean, he's taken the Middle East by storm.
Yes, he has. Yes, he has. And, when you look at Trump over there, how he's been greeted and how he's been celebrated, in fact, and putting together these deals and so on, I can't imagine what would have happened if Kamala Harris was president and tried to do the same thing.
Oh, well, she would. I don't think she'd know how to start a conversation. It'd be a word salad all the way through. No one would understand what she's talking about. But she couldn't take the initiative, I don't think. I don't think she had the, we saw her on the campaign trail. There was no creativity in her policies and stuff. She didn't say she was going to end the wars, meaning both in Gaza and Israel and Ukraine and Russia. I mean, Trump was saying this from the beginning when he was running. And then the first day after he became president, well, he actually started before he even took the oath of office, okay, sending people overseas and stuff. And you know what? I know there's been progress made. He didn't end it overnight like he said he was going to do. But at least he's got people talking. Putin now wants to meet with Zelensky, and Israel is not going to give in to Hamas. It seems like Hamas, after that truce, was just refortifying themselves. But you do have the people in Gaza starting to get anxious. They want, at least some of them, want Hamas out.
Well, Trump is liable to come back after this trip settling two wars: the war in the Middle East with Hamas and Israel, and Russia's war against Ukraine. That is what he's trying to do, and it's remarkable how he's been received over there.
Well, that's a really good point. I mean,
He's the biggest man in the world these days.
yeah.
Bigger than Xi in China, and bigger than Putin, bigger than all of them.
And it seems like, the last 2 months he's been taking a lot of hits, the economy, when he put the tariffs in place, and everybody criticizing. In America, we've lost our patience, all right? We think everything's going to be solved overnight. There's a starting point. You have to start somewhere, and that's what Trump has been trying to say. But, they want everything to be fixed overnight, 24 hours, remedies, this and that, and everything's going to be, kumbaya. It doesn't work that way. But look at you're right. Look at what has happened in the Middle East. He's being heralded as, I hate to say it, as a king, because that's how they understand. They're all monarchies anyway. And look at the Qataris, which I'm not very fond of at this point, but they offered him a $400 million plane. And what do you think about that? I think Trump was a little too quick to accept a gift from a country that,
If they were going to propose to give him a plane, he could have written out a check and bought the thing. I mean, why accept the plane from people you're doing business with? It just doesn't look right. And I don't think it fits right. It's just an anomaly. I think he made a mistake in accepting that plane.
Yeah, I think too, and I understand his point. Hey, they want to give us a plane, but the story that was missed, and no one's really covered it, is why is Boeing so far behind? They got contracts to build two new Air Force Ones, which the planes that we have now in Air Plus One that fly the president and also the vice president and cabinet members around are 40 years old. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, 40 years old.
And Boeing's had the contract for almost a decade now, and they still haven't produced the plane.
Right.
No,
the president needs a plane like the one the Qataris offered him. There's no doubt about it. Yeah. But by the same token, he could have written out a check.
Yeah, and how could the Qataris produce a plane so quickly, and it's on the same scale of an Air Force One? Naturally, it doesn't have all the technology, surveillance that would have to be added later. But for Trump's benefit, he said, "Hey, get from here to there." He said it'll serve the purpose, and we'll make it big and beautiful.
Well, look, Trump is serving 4 years, and then it's all over. So he's doing what he wants to do, and there's no one to stop him.
Yeah, and I agree with you. You know what? I know that there might be some ethics panel looked into it, but if I was still the editor of the Lowell Sun and I had to write the editorial, I have to agree with you. Hey, President Trump, back off here. Take a look at this. If it's going to end up at your presidential library, let your supporters pay for it if you want it. And it's going to be a private thing, and wait till you're out of office. And he just adds some more focus and scrutiny onto his sons, who are doing a whirlwind business out in the Middle East, opening up restaurants, hotels. Hey, you know what? His assets are in trust. They're running the company. As long as they don't violate any laws and red flags like Hunter Biden did for President Biden.
The difference is Trump's sons are in the redevelopment business all over the world, particularly now in the Mediterranean area. And but what they're doing is public information. It's accessible to the public. They're providing a service, as opposed to what Hunter Biden did for Joe. I don't know what that business was, other than shaking down governments and giving 10% to the big guy.
To the big guy,
and they didn't produce anything. They didn't redevelop anything. They didn't build any hotels or anything like that. They just shook down governments selling influence.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
And what happened to that 10%? Because the former president and Jill, they must be struggling to meet their payroll and their living style with their 3 homes in Rehoboth and other places.
Well, he's trying.
Now he's hitting the talking circuit, getting 300,000. There aren't too many takers because when he does show up, he doesn't look very good, Peter.
That's the problem. There's nobody wants to pay money to hear him speak. It's too bad. And now with all these books coming out relating how ineffective he was when he was president, is really scary.
Yeah, yeah. So let's hold that thought because I want to get into the Jake Tapper book that is everybody's talking about, and that's a revisionist history from Jake Tapper, who was one of the biggest supporters of Biden and saying that the Republicans was a conspiracy. Or they were saying that Joe was declining in health and acuity and everything else. But let's hold that. Let's go back to Trump. So, you know, you gotta love the guy. Every day it's something new, and yet sometimes I think he gets a little too brash. He doesn't think all these things through, but he's not really doing any harm. He's shaking up the world order, like he said to he said to the Qatari. Is it the president, the premier, the king? I don't know, but he wanted him to join in the Abraham Accords,
right?
Okay, which before before COVID, he had Saudi Arabia on the hook. They were ready to sign that, and then COVID hit, and you had the Hamas uprising and everything else. And then now he says he's going to end all the restrictions on Syria. Okay. Yeah. And the new president, al-Shara, who used to be on our terrorist list because he fought for the Al-Qaeda against the U.S. and Iraq. So look how this world is changing now. But he was elected by the people of Syria.
But there's one thing in common. Trump brings these people together.
Yes. Go back to your point, Kamala Harris. She'd have to go through 20 Democrats, David Plouffe, Susan Rice, Obama.
Take a poll.
Take a poll. I mean,
but Trump can bring all these people together, and they like and they respect them.
Yeah.
Because behind everything, he believes in strength through power.
Yeah, yeah.
And they got the message because they understand that.
Well, at the same time, he's given some of these downtrodden, like Syria. Oh man, they've gone through a terrible civil war. They got rid of Assad, Bashar Assad, and I mean. He's giving them opportunity.
Yes,
you want to join the world order. You want to build up your economy.
Drop terrorism.
Yeah, and what other way to do this? He's not sending bombs over there like former presidents and both parties did, thinking that, but he's reserving the right, hey, we got the military strength if it comes to this. But I'm giving you an opportunity, same thing he's doing to Iran. Stop your nuclear program. Stop it, and you know what? We'll work things out. You can redevelop your country, but that's the way to go. Isn't that the Christian way to go?
Well, not only that, it's a practical way to go.
Yes.
No one's getting killed. All they have to do is come around and be a moderate, decent society, and they'll get respect and aid from the United States.
So if you're an American and you've seen blood and treasure spilled across the globe for decades, okay, Trump never put us in a war. He took us out of wars.
Right.
Okay. And he doesn't want to go to war now.
Right.
Yet he understands the power of the military, and his budget, the big beautiful bill that he wants passed, would give more money to the military, to strengthen the military, to add more planes, ships, things that we need that have deteriorated our military forces over the last
He is going to out-China China.
That's right.
Because he believes in peace through strength. If you don't have strength, you're not going to have peace.
Yeah. And that's the way I want to go.
It'll
I don't
be
want to
the-
see any American man or woman in the military lose their lives.
It'll be the
and none of our allies.
It'll be the biggest military that's never been used.
So why isn't he getting the credit from not only the press, but why wouldn't Democrats in that regard be working with him and say, you know, Mr. President, okay, we don't like you the way that you propose some of these things, or, of foreign affairs, even though that's the main domain of the President of the United States. But, gee, we'd like to be a part of this. We'd like to be engaged in the conversation. We think you got something here in the Middle East. Why? Why can't they? We're Americans. Wouldn't we want that?
Ordinarily, you would think so. But you listen to some of these Democrats, and they're almost vested in the United States failing. And that is extraordinarily bad for the country. You listen to them, and they want Trump to fail. They want the country to fail. And so they can come back into power and do what they did when they had power, and that is wreck the place.
You know, I was really disturbed by House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries' response this past week. I mean, I'm kind of neutral on the guy. I know about his politics, but I understand where he's coming from. But look at the protest where I think it was 3 Congress men and women showed up, and they forced their way in, and they battled with police and ICE officials.
ICE detention center.
ICE detention,
which was holding murderers, rapists, and other assorted illegal immigrant criminals.
And they were the first ones to complain about what happened in the January 6th at the Capitol and stuff. And yet, when he was asked the question about should these Congress people who engaged in this and actually attacked law enforcement officials, he said, the Trump administration better be careful that they don't cross the line. And the reporter said, what are you talking about? What do you mean, cross what line? I mean, what was he trying to say?
He was trying to say this: no one is above the law except us. That's what he was trying to say.
So it just, I mean, I think you said before, I mean, you look at those bobblehead dolls. Trump has these Democrat leaders, their heads are on a swivel. They just don't know what to do, how to react, and they're just digging a deeper hole for themselves, the party. And I point to, I read a story in the New York Times yesterday about, the latest reports on the stock market. A month and a half ago, Democrats were up in arms when Trump put in place his tariffs, tariff policies, and they were first ones to crow about, the stock market collapse, went down 5,000 points, and he's taken away your IRA, your investments, your savings account. Inflation is continuing to go up.
Recession is here.
Recession is here. That was the other big lie.
Empty shelves in the grocery market.
So the New York Times story led with the fact that the stock market is surging, and it is ahead of the point it was a month and a half ago. We've regained everything and actually gained a little tiny share of into the black. Inflation has slowed to numbers not seen even before the Biden, till the last Trump administration. And, jobs are coming back to America.
What was the headline? Bad news.
Oh, no.
Everything is working.
Well, it was buried inside, naturally. It wasn't on the front page. And I read it online. And I'm saying to myself, where are the Democrats now? I remember our local congresswoman, Lori Trahan, and the 2 senators, Markey and Warren. They put out press releases after the tariff and the implosion of the stock market. We're going to fight this. We're going to save your retirement. He's ruining and everything. And send us $5 and we'll do it. Send us a $5. Where are they now? Why aren't they crowing out? I mean, the beauty of Trump's brain, okay? He told people there might be some rough stops, ebbs and flows. even his Treasury Secretary, and they all said, "Hey, you got to be a little patient here." Well, now it's come back. Everybody's investing. The Saudis want to put
$1 trillion in investment.
and I'm thinking to myself, where's the credit?
Well,
I mean, does he ever get any credit?
not from the media. The media is in tough shape.
You know who's been silent? She probably benefited more than anybody else. Nancy Pelosi. She knows how to play the stock.
Oh,
market,
absolutely.
her and her husband.
Absolutely.
So she's been silent, and because she probably raked it in and said, when Trump said buy now, when the stock market collapses, buy now. She probably did it. So I saw something also. Well, I heard it. I heard it on the CNN, one of the talking heads on there said, "Well, the Democrats are considering an investigation that Trump is manipulating the markets. That all the Republicans got rich over this because he told everybody to buy." I mean, they don't give up. They try finding more and more.
They've got nothing going for them. Nothing.
Yeah. So before we get into the Jake Tapper book, I just want to say, so this was also this was a story that came out yesterday, a Fox News poll. Okay, you're out there saying, "Oh, Fox News." No, this only confirms this Fox News poll, which was done in April 18th to 21st. This wasn't even before this past month when everything now is turned around. Trump's triumphantly in the Mideast. The stock market is roaring again. Quinnipiac, CNN, and NBC polls came out in February and March saying how Trump's ratings popularity was sliding, but also confirmed that the Democrats were losing more ground. So this latest poll, Fox News poll, Donald Trump polling numbers slide, but the Democrats' approval ratings sunk to all-time lows, not seen in over a decade. It's the first time in a decade where Democrats are lower than Republicans on a favorability rating. That is unbelievable.
It is.
Don't you think so?
The drop has been precipitous.
Oh, man. And so the favorability rating for Democrats is 41%, but their unfavorable is up to 56%. Wow. That's crossed that barrier there. And a Pew Research national survey, also in early April, had Dems with a 38% favorability rating and a 60% unfavorable rating. So it is. I mean, I don't know what the Democrats do to turn this around. It doesn't look like. I mean, they're already thinking about a candidate for 2028. It looks like right now leading the list is Harris, right?
Well,
Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris is, she's leading, but it's much too early.
Yes.
I mean, you got AOC and you got Governor Newsom of California. You got a bunch of second-rate people running.
Yes.
But there's no leader.
But there's no one coming out with an idea. All of it is Trump. Trump's going to be gone.
Well,
but
if I wouldn't be surprised if the Democrats start proposing the Pope to run for president. He's from Chicago. The Pope is from Chicago. Barack Obama was from Chicago. He became president.
Yes.
And the Pope is popular among Democrats now because he's criticized Donald Trump.
Yeah, he has citizenship too. He's a U.S. citizen, right?
Well, we can work on that.
Citizenship.
Get him to register to vote, and in Chicago on the South Side, and off and running.
Yeah. And you know what? But he voted in 4 primaries in Chicago when he was there. The last, I believe, I read the story, 2016, he voted in the Republican primary.
Well, there's hope. There's hope.
The Pope's a Republican.
No,
Who knows? So what are Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer to do? Because even Schumer, I think, the guy's losing his.
Oh,
the
he's
the
lost.
guy's losing.
He's
it.
lost.
Now he's holding up Department of Justice appointees, and because he says he wants Trump to give back the jet. Well, Trump hasn't taken the jet. What's got to do with the Department of Justice? These people are losing their minds.
Chuck Schumer will be the first to get a free ride if he could on the jet.
I mean, and Hakeem Jeffries, his stature. I mean, every time he opens his mouth now, I mean, you look for leadership, especially in Washington, where they have ideas and they're willing to put forward legislation to help the American people, whatever it's. All they're doing is, they're cutting Medicare. 15 million people are going to lose their health care coverage, and they want people to work. They want people to work to get benefits. Oh, man. I mean, what happened to America?
The party, Democratic Party now represents fear, smear, doom, and gloom.
Oh, man.
Outside of that, they got nothing going for them.
It's too bad because to make a real strong democracy, I think you need two healthy, three maybe, political parties. But the people have to work together. And try to collaborate on some things. Yeah, you stand strong on things you disagree with, but you know what? Eventually, you got to compromise for the benefit of the people, and because they've done some stinkeroo legislation in the past, whether working together or not. So you might as well do it and get on with it. And but the Democrats just seem to be digging a deeper hole,
Doubling down on failure.
Yeah. What do you think about this big, beautiful bill that's going through the House now? Is it going to pass?
It's too complicated for me to read. It's 2,000 pages. Give me a break.
Well, you don't know who to believe anymore.
Yeah, it's hard.
You know, because one side says, it's going to be all tax breaks for the rich, and yet, Trump is giving small businesses all kinds of tax breaks. I mean, look, if I was a waiter in a restaurant, and even our producer here, Teddy Panos, who runs a fine restaurant in Lowell at the Indian Corner, family restaurant. I mean, he wants to cut the taxes, income taxes on tips, right? And so the waiters who've been struggling and everything, I mean, they're going to be the best paid people in America. They got an hourly pay raise. Okay. Now, I don't know anybody who goes to a restaurant and doesn't give at least a 20% tip. They put it right on the bill now almost, you know.
If Trump is going to cut my taxes, I got no problem with him cutting other people's taxes too, including millionaires.
Yes.
Okay? An across-the-board tax cut would benefit everybody.
Well, I think we've already passed the 30 billion mark with new tariff money coming in. It's only the second month. We got 15 billion the first month. I think it was 30 billion this month. It's doubling, and it's just increasing. Although he's going to cut all the tariffs now. He's going to go down to 10%, 15%. But anyway, let's get into this Jake Tapper book, because I find this fascinating. How a TV journalist who's on, who is playing to the world on CNN, has his own show 3-4 times a week, cannot own up to the fact that 2.5 years ago, he ran a segment on his show where he criticized Republicans and others who were scrutinizing the president, his actions, in saying basically that the president's health was declining, that they actually met him in person, that he couldn't remember facts, he wasn't lucid. We saw the tapes of President Biden at conferences turning the wrong way, falling down and stuff. And now he writes a book, Original Sin, with an Axios reporter basically saying the Democrats and Biden's staff, White House staff and closest confidants, they deceived us.
They lied to us. They lied to us
about Biden.
They said the president was okay. They lied to us. That's what he is saying. That's what he's saying now.
No.
When before this, he was part of the cover-up protecting Biden by refusing to cover stories like this.
Exactly. He refused to even, in interviews.
No, he even attacked people who were critical of Joe Biden's mental capacity.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And why wasn't he scrutinizing it? But now, this is like the third or fourth book.
He was not the only one.
No, but
The whole White House press corps was in the tank on this issue. There's no doubt about it. Nobody went after the truth. They settled for White House statements saying the president is fine, sharp as a tack, so on and so forth. None of them went after the president. None of them went after the truth. Bain and all of them.
Yeah.
They were all colluding with the White House at that time.
And what gets me? He comes across Jake Tapper. Does he have a connection to Massachusetts? Jake Tapper, was he originally from Massachusetts? No, I thought he did. But he's a liar's liar. I'm sorry to say it. It's unfortunate, but a guy who can't own up and say, okay, I'm writing a book. We all made a mistake, and now here's the true story. I'd like to see that on the cover. I might buy the book, but I wouldn't buy it now. It's all trash as far as I'm concerned, because what I suspected and others, and I never was in Joe Biden's company, but I could see for myself. What do they think? Americans are dumb? They can't say, because they obviously did, in the election results, tell it. But this is getting worse and worse. How many more books are going to come out
Jim,
to say?
There were warnings well before Biden became president.
Yeah.
I remember writing columns, which ran in the Lowell Sun, as a matter of fact, as well as the Herald, about him having 2 brain aneurysm operations when he was a senator, one on each side of his brain.
Yeah.
Opened up his brain twice 40 years ago when he was in the United States Senate. That had to have an effect on his mental capacity as years go by. Like an old high school injury in football. It resurfaces 40 years later. And 2 brain operations? Do you tell me that didn't have an effect on? When I wrote, nobody picked up those stories. Nobody ran with it. They ignored them. And the end result was Joe Biden gets elected, and lo and behold, he has a mental problem.
Yeah. Well, I don't wish any ill will to the president, his family, the former president, meaning Joe Biden and his family. But this is getting to the point of ridiculous. And I just go along with what Fox News contributor Charlie Hurt. Is he with the Washington Examiner?
He was with the New York Post and went to the Washington Free Press. I don't know.
Free Press. Okay. Well, I heard him. He was very good. He said, Jake Tapper, your book is an admission of guilt.
That's about right.
Yeah, because you were involved with he collaborated with the rest of the mainstream media that was in the tank, covering up for all things Biden, and he also said that they've all been captured by the Democrat Party, and now they don't know how to break away and stand on their own 2 feet because they've given up, as you said, their journalism instincts.
Listen, the journalism is so bad these days in the United States. Jake Tapper is liable to get a Pulitzer Prize for the book.
Yeah, yeah, we probably will. But Jake, if you're watching this podcast, there's 2 things. A big thing in journalism. All right. You missed the story because you didn't go looking for it. So now you're writing a book and you're blaming the Democrats in the inner circle of being dishonest and deceitful. Jake, how did you miss the story when it was right before you?
Leave Jake alone. Everybody, they all missed the story.
CNN.
They all missed the story.
Oh, man. So anyway, that's my take. And you got turning to Massachusetts. One more topic here, okay?
Go ahead.
So, Republican Brian Shortsleeve announces for governor.
Right.
On the Republican side. There are now 2 other Republicans
right
running. Yeah. So what's going on here? Are they trying to generate some excitement? And
no, I think they think that Maura Healey can be taken. That's an uphill climb. But the interesting thing to me about these Republicans is 3 now, 2 announced, 1 unannounced, running is they don't know what to make of Trump.
Right.
Trump is the elephant in the room. And both Brian Sharpsleeve and Mike Keneally, the two announced candidates, have put Trump at arm's length. The third candidate, who's still unannounced, is Michael Minagu.
Yeah.
He apparently, he's not announced yet. I don't know how he feels about Trump, although he's a fundraiser for the Trump Vance ticket. But he's not announced yet. The problem is they don't know what to do to Trump, either support him, oppose him, or ignore him. Meanwhile, the Democrats, the Democratic State Committee, have tried to tie Trump around their neck. They think that's a winning issue. I happen to believe that I don't think none of the Republicans can take her on if they ignore Trump. Trump is the key, in my opinion, to an election of a Republican in this state. Despite all the negative coverage that he gets in this state, particularly from the Boston Globe and the local television stations, Trump is setting out to be such an effective president that I think he'll be turning around a lot of the bad publicity and polls that he's getting at the current time. Yeah. And I think it would benefit a Republican running for governor in Massachusetts to tie himself to Trump.
Yeah. Well, you know what? If Massachusetts benefits from, all these manufacturing facilities, both in the sciences that he's looking to attract back to America. I mean, look at what he's done for the union laborers, steel workers, and car manufacturers. Is just the start of it. I mean, jobs. We've had 2 straight improved jobs reports that even the experts were saying, "Oh no, everything is slowing down." I mean, what do they do as experts? I don't know. The real numbers are there, and you can't deny the facts. So I would think that. But you need these Republicans to stand on their own 2 feet, and they got to take a side. You can't be like they say in Texas, an armadillo down the middle of the road, it's the way it is right now,
Well, they think they can do what Charlie Baker did.
I don't think a Charlie Baker Republican can win again.
He can't win again. The times have changed.
Yes.
And Donald Trump is a success. He's a resounding success as president. And if he continues along the path that he's already begun, he's going to be an amazing president. And you'd think you'd want to support him. You'd want to be on his side if you were running for office because he's turned everything around. But there's no sign that any Republican is going to marry Donald Trump and in the campaign.
Yeah.
So far.
Well, that's interesting. So what are you going to be working on this week? Anything that we should be looking for in the Boston Herald? Anything? Any columns? Interesting columns?
Well, one of the things we've got to continue to watch is Andrea Campbell, the Attorney General, who continues to sue Donald Trump while we're on this subject. And now she's filed up to 12, 13 lawsuits against Donald Trump. And I don't know what effect they're going to have. But it certainly doesn't do Massachusetts much good if you're trying to deal with the president and benefit the state.
Well, I just, going back to that point about, do the Republicans, can they have a wedge issue? While she's focusing on Trump, look at all the arrests that have been taking place in Massachusetts. Pedophiles, serial rapists, child rapists. Look at the big raid that they just had in Lowell. Guns and drugs.
Yeah, but this is all the federal government is doing.
This is the federal government doing. The state. It's all happening under their nose. And so, if I was a candidate on the Republican side, I'd just make a list of all these people taken off the streets out of our neighborhoods and say, what were the local Democrats in office doing.
Not only
all
local,
this is taking place.
statewide. What's the governor doing?
Statewide,
What's the governor doing? What's the attorney general doing?
I mean, I think
what are the district attorneys doing?
I think people are getting sick and tired of all this, really. I mean, it's a waste of time, a waste of money, and you should be focused on local issues, state issues, making us better, making us safer. This is not this, and I think that there is going to be a backlash to some of these Democrat
when you think
policies.
of it, the only one who's done anything at all about illegal immigration in this state and in this country is Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He shut down the border. And his administration is arresting illegal criminal aliens that have committed crimes and sending them back, deporting them. And thanks to him, the immigration problem in Massachusetts has lessened.
Yeah, without a doubt. So on that note, I think we're going to say we've covered it all for this week, Peter. Anything else?
That's about it, unless we get a verdict in the Reed trial.
Yeah, is that close to final arguments?
I don't think that trial is ever going to end.
What are your thoughts on it?
Karen Reed.
Are you watching? Are you following it closely?
I watched part of it. I think everybody was so drunk that nobody knows what happened.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
But Karen Reed has emerged as a superstar.
Yeah?
She's on television, national television shows, and it's amazing.
Well, it's unfortunate that it's come to this. I mean, a person lost his life, but they were all drunk. It doesn't seem like any law enforcement certainly hasn't come out ahead on this.
It's been a black eye.
It's been a black eye. Yeah, it's too bad.
But maybe Karen Reed, if she wins, she can run for governor too.
And now, on that, we're going to say, we'll see you next week. That's a great one. All right, Peter.
All right.
Signing off. Take care.